Olivier, my brother.
Coach Chris,
How you doing, man?
good yourself?
I am blessed, bro. Even better now that I'm
You
seeing
look,
you.
you look amazing.
Bro, likewise, brother. Likewise. I love the books in the back. Start with why. I can't wait.
Blessed and highly favored. That's all we can do. We elevate, and you have to elevate in which way you can.
Let's go. So, man, I'm super blessed to have you on this live with me. As every time we have these conversations, man, Oliver, we just go in deep, and I know you're somebody that's very cognitive and you're very well spoken throughout everything. But before jumping in that, let me just introduce Oliver.
Appreciate you.
Uh, Thank you, brother. So Oliver is a father. He is a great man. He's extremely proud of being a Haitian, which I'm sure he's going to talk about. We've spoken about it in length. And he's a podcaster with over 150 podcasts already recorded. If anybody, like you guys know, doing something at a consistent level demands certain consistency, but not consistency, but it demands a structure, demands a certain mindset. So congratulations within that in itself. So Oliver,
Thank you.
super
Thank
excited
you.
to talk about all that. And for your community that doesn't know me, my name is Chris Dedeyan. I'm a professional speaker, peak performance business and life coach. And this is Friday Flow, a weekly conversation. So Oliver, let's start off. Everybody's saying hi. Vinny's waving. What up? So
Mr. Vince. Yes,
yes,
yes.
you
Boom.
see him over there. So, man, how's everything going with you, first of all? I mean, where
Doing.
are you at? Last time we spoke, I know that you were in a job. Where are we at? How's everything with that aspect?
Doing good, blessed and highly favored, doing good and better than most, especially within the current scheme of things. It's been a really, really, really interesting year. We're not going to rehash about 2020, but you know what? Since our last conversation, I'm a lot better because I realized that you can't change the outward until you take a look inward. And that's basically what I've done since our last conversation because you know what? You can complain about the job, you can complain about the administration, you can complain about the salary, you can complain about everything, but complaining never solved anything. And it has to start within. What are the words that you speak into the universe? In regards to your relationship with your employer or your job or whatever it is that gets you up in the morning, are you bringing the value to the hour as opposed to expecting the hour to bring you value? Listen, if you're really boiling down, you're pointing fingers, pointing fingers, pointing fingers, really just deconstruct it. What can you do with the resources and time that you have now? So since our conversation, yes, I am still with the same employer, but things have changed dramatically. I am no longer accepting certain demands. I have set proper boundaries, and I have definitely doubled down in terms of my own personal value in regards to what I bring to the hour, in regards to what I am worth, both my time, my resources, my expertise, my intelligence. It's all about give and take. And again, we're very open. There is a life going on out there. There is a pandemic going on out there. So of course I support all the people trying to make ends meet, going to their 9 to 5, paying their bills. I get that. All right. So while you're doing this, as Lisa Nichols put it, do your 9 to 5, but fund your dream. It's one less thing to worry about to have a significant, a steady income, but fund your dream. Having a 9 to 5 should not in any way convince you that this is all you're going to be. And I'm very aware of that. So since our last conversation, you can see I'm a little bit more beast mode now.
Yo, you're walking into it, man. You are walking into it. Honestly, I've never seen you like this. I've
I
never
am
seen
leaning
you
in.
really walking into your greatness. Honestly, some people are saying, bro, you have to put your boundaries. And I feel like you're absolutely right. You are putting your boundaries.
You have
You're
to.
aware, and you
You have to.
mentioned one main thing as well. I just want to highlight so people could really get that. You
For
went
sure.
within. All the answers are within. So it's not about what's happening outside. It's not about your wife. It's not about your kids. It's not about the weather. It's not about COVID. It's not about your employer. Now,
Yes.
all those things are true, but that's not what it is. It's within. And once you're able to go within and find the solutions, then you're able to be the person that you need to be. But everything is within. So I love that, bro. You just
It's important. It's important. The boundaries, especially, that's the biggest what I can do right now because you can't do everything. You can't save everybody. You can't have all the questions because every life is sacred. Every circumstance, there's always an emergency. It's always an emergency to someone else. But at the same time, you also have to look within in regards to, okay, what is this going to require of me? You know what? It's often said, count up the cost. Set your boundaries, whether it's your relationships, close or far, whether through clients or whatsoever, you have to have boundaries. Some people, access to you should be a privilege, not just, just some kind of random expectation. You have to be able to be very selective of the time that you spend with the people you care about and the people who are within your environment. And if those certain people, unfortunately, are not at their place in your environment, you also need to set yourself away from that. you know?
So,
So,
once again, I love that. I'm going to do a little distinction here. When you mention that spending time with you is a privilege, I think what you mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the aspect of you knowing where do you need to spend your time and who deserves a certain way your presence and
yes,
vice versa. It's not like,
yes,
hey, you don't deserve to spend time with me, so you're lesser than.
yes.
No, it's being aware of your energetic body and who
Mm-hmm.
deserves to receive that. And being aware as well, because there are certain people within your life, like I have my boys that I know that if we're gonna go out, we're gonna drink it. These are my boys to have fun and do that. But it's not
For
my boys
sure.
to have cerebral conversations. And then I have some
Mm-hmm.
people that I know that that's my people to have cerebral conversations with. But I know that it's not my party gang. So just be aware of the environment that you're in and what to expect with those things. What to
Yes.
expect within those environments. Because if you're expecting something from somebody that can't give you that, it's not their fault. It's your fault.
There you go.
You have a bad misconception there. So,
There you
man,
go.
Oliver, amazing. And you did mention previously, Lisa Nickel, funding your dream. Talk to me about that. What are you funding? What is the dream?
The
Is
funding
it
right
this
now,
podcast? What is it?
the podcast in itself has taken on a life of its own. And, in itself, again, it started out as one sort of random creative project, which in itself, I realized that with this voice, because again, Les Brown said it, what am I good at? I'm good to talk. I have the gift of gab. And for the longest time, you walk into this imposter syndrome, like, well, am I really a podcaster? What am I going to do? And everything. And you remember at the mastermind, thank you again for that invitation and leaning in on me to actually inviting me on. It was the first time I openly said, yeah, I'm a professional podcaster. You know why? Because I've been doing this like 100 times over. I've sort of mastered this thing. And a lot of people are going to cower down into regards like, okay, am I really this good? Can I really write this book? Can I really go out and do that marathon and everything? Whatever gets you up in the morning, that has to be what's something that's zeroed in. So to answer your question, what's funding the dream? Right now, pushing this podcast more in regards to how can I serve people more? It's not just about inviting tremendous, awesome, and so insightful individuals such as yourself. And, it's not just about just sitting down and having a chat every week. It's also about how can this conversation educate, empower, and yes, a little bit entertain, but how can we serve the listeners? Whether it's one person or 1,000, to me, it's not about the download. It's about, how can I impact or how can I change someone's life? Anyone who needs to hear the stories. We have good stories, we have sad stories, we have empowering stories, but that was the goal in regards to bringing forth, insightful people of everyday walks of life. Because you don't need to be Tony Robbins. You don't need to be, I don't know, Les Brown whatsoever. I talk about these people because we listen to them a lot. But everyone has a story and everyone can learn from each other's journey. So the dream in itself, the podcast, obviously, a few book projects coming down the line, speaking engagement, trying to get myself out there, because these are things that I need to, just lean into slowly but surely. Because, I have a wife, 2 kids and everything. Can't do it all, but we have a few projects coming down the line. But I'm so jazzed. I'm so jazzed. It's a different year than 2020.
Let's go. I feel it. I feel the energy, brother, and wish you all the best within that. And you did mention obviously so many great points over there, and you did obviously talk about the fact that you're a podcaster and the fact that you walked into that reality of, hey, wait a minute, no, I am a professional podcaster after doing X amount of time. And as you walk into your reality, then you're able to attract what you need to attract, get those guests that you need to get. You'll get those downloads that you need to get. So that's amazing. And I wanted to spend some time within the podcast world.
For sure.
Because there is definitely a lot of things you could teach us. I'm going to ask you some questions within that. First of all, what is your perception of the podcast world? I feel like it's been popping. I feel like with what's happening with Joe Rogan, going on Spotify, a lot more people are trying to go in that space. Do you still think it is a space that's highly available, or is it oversaturated? What are your
Not at all.
ideology with that? And
Not at all.
let's go with that.
Right now where we're standing, I think that people are just re-identifying the beauty of the medium because the barrier of entry is extremely low. You
It's
don't
zero.
need a huge mega setup to actually get into podcasting. Again, everyone has an audience about something. You can make a podcast about toothpicks. You can make a podcast about politics or Trump whatsoever. So the barrier of entry is very low. And again, it's like El Dorado right now. It's undiscovered territory because even corporations, media corporations still don't know how to properly, center a market, how to gauge the audience. But if we're talking about Joe Rogan, and a lot of people, unfortunately, I'm really going to say this right now, a lot of people are going into it hoping to have the type of lottery ticket a la Joe Rogan. But people don't understand this. Joe came from his stand-up comic background, so he brought that crowd in. He came from his USC background, he brought that crowd in. And then he had his obvious, listeners. So he brought 3 types of communities into one platform. So he has that going for him. So understand that Joe Rogan, by podcast standards, is a unicorn. It doesn't happen every other day. But in itself, the medium is a powerful platform. It is non it's what I was going to say is like it's a passive medium. You can do it washing dishes, taking a run, just babysitting the kids, as opposed to YouTube where I have to be watching the content. So in itself, it's powerful. It's a very good marketing tool. It's a nice opportunity for your audience, however it may be, to have another look in regards to the personality that they're connecting with, whether you're a brand or an individual. It connects very well to bringing forth a more human, a more engaging message to connect with your audience. So whether visual or audio, I just keep mine strictly audio, but in itself, podcast is still very unexplored. There's a lot of ground to cover. So
Yeah.
we're not even at the peak right now. Not even at all. We're not scratching the surface at all.
I love that. And once again, there's so many things that I want to highlight, and I'm just going to highlight it because I feel like you just dropped some great knowledge.
I'm sorry.
What sorry, please. This is amazing. This is what we're here, is conversation. First and foremost, you mentioned the barrier to entry, all right? And this is one thing that's extremely important to understand. All of this social media game, the barrier to entry is zero. Legit, because anybody could take a phone, record themselves, do an audio, and put it out there. But the perception or the expectation of that Joe Rogan or whatever is extremely high. Like, hey, wait a minute, I'm doing it and I should get it. No. The barrier to entry is extremely low, but the work you have to put in, the practice, the mastery that you have to acquire over time in a consistent way, so that an actual audience could believe you, that's the hard work. It's not doing it and putting it out there. Anybody can do that. Anybody that holds the phone, anybody that's listening to this right now can do that. But it's the fact that you have to be consistent. And there's where this dichotomy gets created within the perception of people like, oh, I'm going to do one video and I'm going to get a viral hit. I mean, that's, like you said, a unicorn. Now, that being said, you did mention Joe Rogan as a unicorn. I actually do not see him as a unicorn. The man put in the reps. If you go check out his first thing, he actually put in the reps. Now, what you meant by that, or what I perceived, is that he had great backgrounds, he had great already things, and the man in the base of it, he's so curious. Like, if you watch his podcast or listen to them, he's like thoroughly curious and wants to know about these pure people. So he loves what he does.
For sure.
As well, with everything that you're kind of jamming on over here. So thank you for highlighting that. And before we move on to like other things, there's so many things I want to talk about. What are like one of the top things that you've learned with having over like 150 guests? And I'm sure you had what are like the top things that you could share with our audience?
So many lessons. The basic thing, basically, because I try to learn from every single one of my guests. And the thing is, and most people know this because I say this all the time, I don't go into it. I do some research, but I also try to bring the human aspect of it. We talked about curiosity in a bit. I have to learn something, and so does my audience. Okay, what is this conversation going to bring to me? Obviously, it's nice to catch up with friends and make connection and stuff, but for me, the biggest lessons, we're all in this together. What I mean by that is that everyone understands fear. Everyone understands wanting to do better for yourself. Everyone understands challenges of life. Everyone understands being in a funk, being in a rut. Everyone understands fear and anxiety and doubt and mental health and all these issues. Everyone understands wanting to make money. Everyone understands wanting to start a business. Everyone understands success and how that can take away from you. So these are human stories I'm bringing through different people who have one particular set of expertise or one particular experience that I find curious enough to be curious about. What I've learned also, success is a mindset. What happens to you in your life has a lot to do with the people you keep around you. Words have weight. Words have power. I mean, you really need to mind your words. What you tell yourself, what goes on in here has a lot to do with what goes on out there. How you show up to the world has a lot of repercussions into the people that are close or far to you. All right. You have so much, again, I'm just throwing them out. You have so much to give, to produce, that you are able to do. This is not a shtick for me. It's having done this consistently overnight, losing sleep, just like it's amazing. But you realize that over time, everything takes time, and you have to be willing to put in the work. You are able to achieve that success that you seek, but you have to put in the work. I'm very big about that as well. I've stopped making excuses. I am so about doing the work. Be on time, tell the truth, do the work. Accountability is not a question with me right now. You have to own your responsibility into the process. You are responsible for you. Sure, there are other people who are not like you, and that's okay. Find your tribe. That's also something I discovered. There are people that are not like you, and that's okay. Find your tribe. Millionaires hang out with millionaires. Peak performers hang out with peak performers. Real estate agents hang out with other real estate brokers. Family centered individuals hang out with other types of parents. That's okay. You need to find your tribe, and that's the only way you can elevate. All right. So I just threw a bunch of them out there. I'm sorry, Coach Chris. I probably
Yes.
lost you there.
No, not at all. Actually, I'm following intently. And bro, I mean, you're just going on this beautiful rant. So I'm letting you do your thing over here. But there's a couple of things that I just want to highlight once again that you mentioned. First and foremost is the fact that you said, watch, be careful with your words, because your words will create what you live within your reality. So that's extremely important. It's something that Dr. Emoto has done studies on. I'm just going to invite the community over to go research him. As well, you mentioned your tribe, which is 100% true, man. If you want to be a peak performer, go hang around peak performer. You want to be a millionaire, go hang around some millionaires, because the reality is they're thinking differently, they're acting differently, they're speaking differently. You want to be a mother, go hang around with some amazing mothers. You'll see what they do, and so on and so forth. So I love all of that. I love the whole energy behind it. I love the fact that you're committed to it, you're decisive, and you're not getting any BS anymore. And when I'm talking about BS, I'm not swearing here because my mom watches this. And by the way, there's a bunch of people that are saying, hey, save this live. This live is going to be saved on my Instagram, as well as reposted the next Friday on my YouTube. So if you guys want to watch it, because there's a couple of people that asked that. So when I'm talking about BS over here, I'm talking about your belief systems. You have completely changed your belief systems. And as you change your belief systems, then you're able to really go to the next level. Then you're really able to live within your greatness. So, man, thank you very much for jamming into that. And let me ask you another question, because it's more than a question. It's more of a conversation over here on that end. Is you say that you are an advocate for mental health.
Yes, sir.
Let's unpack that, because there's so much to unpack. As well, I want to talk about Black History Month. I mean, there's a couple of things that I want to kind of touch upon, and I'm seeing already the time advancing, and I have a kind of a time frame that my team kind of puts me towards. Let's start off with the mental health. Why do you say you are an advocate? How do you do your advocacy? And what is some things that you could kind of tell us about that?
Coming from a very traditional upbringing in regards to the Caribbean, very traditional. My father was raised military, he raised us military. So I was always about, something very structure, discipline, execution. All right. So we were loved, but my father always raised us with a certain level of structure and discipline. He was always about helping us understand that there's a way and there's a right way. Make sure you do it the right way, all right? And understand how to do that. What does that have to do with mental health? The fact that I realized that through going my own personal turmoil, that men don't talk, unfortunately. And there's a lot of toxicity that goes into not addressing the deeper issues that might otherwise be a hindrance to your personal growth. So for me, what that looked like was, for the longest time, that's why I keep telling people, check in on your strong friend. Because sometimes, you're the person who supports everybody. You're the person who, is like the dynamite. It's like, no, let's get this. It's going to be a great day and everything. And what do you tell people when they ask you how you're doing? I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Those are some dangerous words. Fine means so many things. But for me, it's just an acronym. Feelings inside, not expressed. You can tell me you're doing well. You had a great day. I'm blessed or something. But when you tell me fine, I question that. So why do I advocate for mental health? Is because I understand that there's a lot of people suffering out there. There's a lot of people who are going through unspoken difficulties. And sometimes all you need is someone to listen to you, someone who's not a relative, someone who's not, someone too close to you, but who have the distance enough to listen, because you can't share or put, some kind of energy or thoughts towards someone else. You also have to be someone who can receive what you have to say. And especially for men, because I'm also focused on men, the reality is men don't believe in therapy. Men don't believe in mental health, because sometimes we put on what Lewis Howes calls the mask of masculinity, and sometimes you fall into the trap of thinking that you have to be the rock, you have to be the provider, the protector, the leader, the teacher. And that's okay. That is our role societally as men, but also there's a consequence that comes to that, because sometimes we're just expected to just deal with it because we're men. My son cries, he's 5. I will allow him to cry. I will say, okay, what's going on? But I will let him cry. I'll never say, like, man up. It's okay. Why are you crying? But that can have damage on a child and eventually a man over time. These are very little small things I'm noticing, and throughout all the conversations I've had, it also makes me little bit more empathetic to this condition. So that's why, in a lot of ways, I've dealt with my own depression. I've dealt with my own personal struggles, and that's why I'm also very open now to have these conversations with people, whether on or offline. I'm very open to this right now. I'm very sensitive to that.
I love that. I love that. And you mentioned something that's very interesting, the FINE aspect, your acronym, which I'm going to ask you to repeat it. Do you mind?
Feelings inside not expressed.
So feelings inside, not expressed. So that's very interesting because FINE is not a powerful acronym. You know, you could be like, hey, I'm sad. That's pretty clear. Or I'm extremely happy. Or I'm blessed. It's distinctive. But the FINE is somewhere in the middle, and it can get lost. So I love the fact that
Mm-hmm.
you kind of push back, I guess, when somebody tells you your loved ones or whatever, and you gave so
Mm-hmm.
many great insights over there. And you were saying this, what do you think is happening right now with the society that we're living in 2021, where we're going as men? Because I personally believe that we are going towards a more understanding, a more empathetic, and a more connected man with his own emotions. Do you think that that's true? Do you still think we have a lot of work to do? Do you feel like it's going on the proper track on that end?
I personally feel, and this is just my own personal perspective, I personally feel that men are daring to open up. We have a lot of work to do because we are dealing with generational triggers. We're dealing with, a lot of, societal baggage and expectations of what it is and what it means to be a man. But you know what? In this conversation I have on private groups or, with friends and stuff, or people who have the audacity to reach out, you know what? Men need men to talk about man things. So we're going to have to get over that ego, if you will. But yes, I do believe we're going on a very positive curve. It's a slow curve, but it is going to be a steady curve. Why? Because it's going to have through conversations like this, the platform like these, where men are being able to share how they're feeling. How are you doing? It's okay to say this pandemic is getting on your nerves because the kids are at home and I don't know how to do the job and debts and stuff. It's okay to say that rather than say that you're fine. So what men need to do is be a little bit more aware of the men closest to them because it's going to start from within and basically going to radiate out. And what we can do is just be open and non-judgmental and bring that space for men to express themselves. Because men are, again, you need the gym, you need, be with your boys at the bar, but sometimes it's okay to have these conversations.
100%, 100%. And I love all that. I love what you just mentioned over there. So it is a conversation we're going to have and keep on having. And like you said, it is a curve. I feel like we are going towards a proper direction. At some point, it is going to compound even faster and it's going to exponentially grow and then have that just balance as well. Because honestly, my personal opinion, it's a control. It's a balance like anything. You don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
completely on one side or the other. Because I know people that are extremely emotional, grow over guys, and their emotions control them, which is not good either. So there is that just like middle or balance, whatever, and not repress your emotions essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for bringing that up. And last thing over here, like I said, that I kind of want to talk about and have your perception, your ideology behind that, which is this current month that is Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
What's your understanding with that? Like, what would you like to share with that? And like, where would you kind of like, I'm kind of leaving this really open to you because I would love for you to kind of guide this direction, as obviously I have my ideas, but I'll never say that, I definitely know what that is because I just don't. I'm a Caucasian. I'm Armenian, but like on the outside look, I'm Caucasian, so it's not the same thing, right?
And I'm only going to go at this from my own personal perspective. I've only, again, been, aware or sensitive to Black History Month when I moved to North America. I'm growing up from the Caribbean, I have my own experience with issues of both race and creed and gender and stuff. It was an adaptation. It was something I knew, okay, I know Black History Month, but it never something that directly affected me because I have my own experience with, issues of discrimination and stuff. But in regards to the whole Black History Month as a whole, I don't think that, okay, we should wait on 1 month, to remind ourselves of our power or our presence as a community, I welcome it. I applaud it. It has its worth. It has its power. It's important, to be able to celebrate our identity and our presence and our the beauty that is about, being Black in itself. But also, because again, there are some realities that will never go away. I have, like, again, I'm being very honest here. I am a Haitian raising Haitian kids in Quebec, and my kids go to a school where there are more Caucasians than black kids, obviously. So my kids, I have to have this conversation with them, you know, yeah, you're the little black kid. It happens, you know. It's not about telling you you're different. It's not about telling you that you're better or worse, but don't be made to feel that you are lesser, but also celebrate yourself in regards to what makes you different. You know, there's a great child show called Daniel Tiger, and I love this. In some ways, we are different, but in so many ways, we are the same. Those are the conversations I need to give to my children. And for myself, also need to show them how do I carry myself as a black man? How do I carry myself with other black people? And how do we continue this wonderful dialogue of celebration, empowerment, and not just discord and just like, yes, there are bad things going on, but at the same time, there are so many great things to celebrate. So it's collaboration and love that's going to overcome, not just discord and confrontation. That's my 2 cents.
I love where you brought that. I really do love that where you brought that, and the fact that you just mentioned, hey, it shouldn't be necessarily just 1 month is that it gets highlighted, but everything. And you know what? It's kind of like anything, right? Like, hey, Valentine's Day. Does that mean you're just gonna, give love to your significant other just one day? No, it's just one moment to highlight. But the main thing that you kind of said it is that collaboration and that we are a part of the same. And a lot of people, and maybe Oliver, you've seen this as well within me. I like call people my brother all the time. Like, hey, what's up, my brother? How, whatever the case. I
For
do it
sure.
all the
And
time.
I
And my
reply. I
sister,
really don't, I reply.
100%. And I say everybody, my brother and my sister. And the reason why I'm like that, or I have that ideology, is because I thoroughly believe if we're Homo sapien sapien in some way, shape, or form, we're related. Now, from far, from close, when I'm talking about relation, I'm talking about we're the same species in itself. When
For
it's a
sure.
different type of species, then we're different. But as a human being, for me, it comes to Homo sapien sapien, which is we are aware of our consciousness. So if you're aware of your own consciousness, we're all brothers and sisters. And if we have that
Boom.
ideology, then as a society, I think we're going to go forward with more love, joy, empathy, and respect as a whole. Now, is there racism within that? 100%. Is there any negativity? 100%. And it really doesn't matter what you are, who you are. There's always that aspect. And that's something that it's binarily made within your brain, or society has imposed on you.
Yes.
So you have to be aware as a person and be aware of, like, hey, why am I feeling this? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? What are some biases that have been created within time that can be replaced with what I want right now? So anyways, we could talk about this until tomorrow morning. But Oliver, one last thing that I kind of want to mention over here. I just want to highlight you and congratulate you for everything that you're doing. I see it from far. I'm honestly, I'm going to be very frank with you, and I'm not blowing steam up here, but I'm actually surprised. The man that's talking to me right now, it's the first time that I feel your true energy. Every single time we've spoken before, I've always known that you're powerful. I know that you're a very intellectual man, but it's the first time that I feel like you know it. And I've said this, bro. We've had conversations. I'm like, yo,
We
I know you're
have. We
great, but you
have.
don't know you're great. And I feel like it's the first time that you actually, holy shit, wait a minute. And congratulations on that, bro.
I
Like,
celebrate you. I celebrate you, Coach Chris. Thank you so much again for, for being so available, for being so forthcoming. I really appreciate the great platform and all the great work that you do. It's an amazing thing, especially COVID, unfortunately, has this, social distancing. But as you know, we are up, we're due, we're overdue, to meet up. But I want to thank you for everything that you do, because you've been a tremendous support since day one. And I'm not just saying that, just when this podcast was just in its infancy and we connected and you generously accepted to be on the podcast, as wonky as it was. But again, we're due for a round two. We're due for round two. I gotta make up for it. But it's a true appreciation and respect to a fellow peak performer. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
love, brother. Love. All right, man. So have a great one. If there's anything I could do to support you, let me know. And obviously, I want to thank everybody that just listened up. There's so many great people over here. Zaren as well saying, Chris, keep up these great interviews. Awesome job. Thank you, my brother. So
Yes,
yeah,
it is. Great
so
stuff.
many great things that just with message. So awesome, guys. Thank you for listening. And we'll be here next week, same time, same place. Ciao, brother.
See you then. Ciao.